Let's be real for a second. If scrolling through your phone were an Olympic sport, most of us would have gold medals by now. I mean, why start that boring project when you can watch a guy build a pool in the jungle? Why hit the gym when you can binge watch an entire season of a show you don't even like that much? Yeah, that was me. Every time I tried to do something productive, my brain would go, nah, let's check Instagram instead. And guess what? I listened every single time. Until one day I realized something really abnormal. My attention span had the lifespan of a mosquito. And motivation? A grown-up sloth. But then I found out about dopamine, the little brain chemical that's basically responsible for why we do anything. Dopamine is released when your brain expects a reward. When you come to associate a certain activity with pleasure, mere anticipation may be enough to raise dopamine levels. It could be a certain food, sex, shopping, or just about anything else that you enjoy. Dopamine is like that one friend who hypes you up for everything. It makes you excited to do things. The problem is your brain doesn't care what you do. It just wants the dopamine hit. And guess what gives you a massive, instant dopamine rush? Social media, junk food, video games, Netflix, and all the other fun, easy stuff. Meanwhile, things like reading, working out, or studying. Yeah, those give you tiny, boring amounts of dopamine. So naturally, your brain goes, why would I do this slow, painful thing when I can just open TikTok and get a dopamine explosion? See the problem? Our brains are like toddlers. If you give them candy every day, they won't want vegetables. For example, suppose your go-to comfort food is homemade double chocolate chip cookies. Your brain may increase dopamine when you smell them baking or see them come out of the oven. When you eat them, the flood of dopamine acts to strengthen this craving and focus on satisfying it in the future. It's a cycle of motivation, reward, and reinforcement. Now imagine that you've been longing for those cookies all day, but your coworkers scarfed them down while you were sidetracked by a conference call. Your disappointment might lower your dopamine level and dampen your mood. It might also intensify your desire for double chocolate chip cookies. Now you want them even more. While low dopamine is one reason you may not be in the best mood, you might have reduced alertness, difficulty concentrating, poor coordination, less motivation and enthusiasm, but the right amount of dopamine usually goes along with a pretty good mood. It's ideal for learning, planning, and productivity. Dopamine contributes to feelings of alertness, focus, motivation, happiness. A flood of dopamine can produce temporary feelings of euphoria. Very high levels of dopamine can make you feel on top of the world, at least for a while. In excess, it may be a contributing factor in addiction, obesity, hallucinations, and delusions, while too little can lead to depression. So, as soon as I realized that my brain had been hacked by me, I grabbed the script, gave it a dramatic spin, and said, plot twist, baby. I tricked my brain into liking hard things, and here's exactly how I did it. I decided to go cold turkey on all the high dopamine junk. No social media, no junk food, no video games, no Netflix. Just me, my thoughts, and a deep existential crisis. The first few days were brutal. I kept grabbing my phone out of habit only to stare at a blank home screen like an idiot. My brain was screaming for a hit of dopamine, but I didn't give in. And then something weird happened. By day 3 or 4, I started wanting to do things I previously avoided. Reading? Not so bad. Writing? Kind of fun. Even working out felt less like punishment. My brain, starved of easy dopamine, started finding pleasure in things that actually required effort. I was finally motivated to finish things I had started, like listing my products on my e-commerce store and tackling so many other projects. The problem with boring tasks is that they don't give you enough dopamine while you're doing them. So, I had to make my brain earn its entertainment not by banning it entirely, but by allowing myself to watch my favorite show for 20 minutes after finishing a tough task. That way, my brain saw it as a reward, not a default activity. I also turned my tasks into mini-games. Writing, I challenged myself to hit a word count before a timer ran out. Studying? I turned it into a quiz and competed with myself. Suddenly, work wasn't just work. It had dopamine attached to it. And my brain, it was all in. Okay, so I detoxed from cheap dopamine and tricked my brain into liking hard things. But how do you keep this up long term? Here's what worked for me. I made a personal resolution not to touch my phone first thing in the morning for at least 2 to 3 hours. No social media, no YouTube. Just a slow, peaceful start. Honestly, it protects me from the vicious cycle. My other long-term trick is to visualize and romanticize any task, even sweet-talking myself into assuming I only have to work on it for 5 minutes. Almost always, I end up doing way more. But is there productivity without the pain? I won't lie and say I never procrastinate. But now, hard tasks don't feel that hard anymore. My brain actually wants to do them because I trained it that way. And here's the best part. Since cutting out cheap dopamine, I enjoy life more. A quick call with a friend feels exciting. Minutes turns to hours of fun conversations. So if you're stuck in a cycle of procrastination and low motivation, your brain isn't broken. It's just been hijacked by cheap dopamine. Reset it, trick it, and watch how quickly your life changes. Thanks for watching. If this helped you, hit that subscribe button. More raw self-improvement coming your way.